Hi there, this is Anoop. Today we are going to talk about the easiest way to create a Intune trial version forever. Normally Intune trials are limited to 1 month and there are some other ways to extend it. It is not very easy to extend Intune trials after a month or so. But in this video, we will see a method to have Intune trial forever. If you are really active in that Intune tenant, which we are going to create in this video, then it will be there for you and you are testing forever. So make sure you are very active in all the testing and all the development activities. Then this particular method is going to help you to get a Intune lab environment forever, and that is for free. It won't ask you even for your credit card for the validation. So don't skip it. Let's check this out. So let's look into Intune free trial tenant forever. How to get this? If you follow this method explained in this video, you will get 25 Microsoft E5 licenses. You would be able to access Intune, Azure AD, Exchange Online, etc. And you would be able to do Intune end-to-end testing. So we will see all these details in the coming slides and the demo. Let's go to the next slide. Let's talk about free Microsoft 365 E5 renewable licenses. How to get this? This is normally 90 days valid, and after that there are two chances. It will get automatically renewed for the next 90 days or it will get expired. So how to get renewed? How to make sure that there are some activities going on with this trial tenant? We will discuss all those things in this video. And there would be pre-configured 25 users with Microsoft E5 license once you create the test tenant. Normally the provisioning process of Microsoft 365 Sandbox tenant is very quick. Sandbox helps you to pre-configure with sample data to help you prototype the solution very fast. So the user accounts might be already created if you use instant sandbox option when you enroll into development program. And configurable sandbox, in that scenario, as per Microsoft documentation, it can take a longer time, but I feel in my testing experience, configurable sandbox is also very quick. We will see both the options in this video, instant sandbox and configurable sandbox. We'll see what are the differences, etc. Quickly, configurable sandbox will help you to create your custom tenants if you want, something like hdmd.onmicrosoft.com. Instant sandbox will get created with random tenant name, something like ma tenant on microsoft.com or something similar to that. Once you are done with onboarding process of Microsoft 365 developer program, you can start playing around the subscription, etc. If you use Visual Studio subscription for activating the Microsoft 365 developer program, then you will get this kind of a screen. There is no expiry of this tenant until and unless Microsoft Visual Studio subscription is expired. And you can also see the sample data packs if you use configurable sandbox. These are very useful options to create mailbox, create users, give access to Microsoft Teams, etc, etc. Let's go to the next slide. This slide we are talking about instant Intune lab access. Free Intune lab access forever with 25 Microsoft 365 E5 licenses. Even though this is a development program, this gives full access to Intune capabilities. For Intune scenario, it is a blank Intune tenant. It doesn't have any application or something. It's a fully functional tenant. As you can see, there's a Windows device already added to this tenant. I have tested that as well instantaneously. So you don't have to wait for verification, confirmation of your credit card, etc, etc. This is very fast. Let's go to the next slide. In this slide slide, we are going to talk about requirements and renewal. What are the things you need to take care? You need to enroll into Microsoft Developer Program. You can sign in with personal account, work account, or a Visual Studio ID. Don't worry about Visual Studio ID now because we are going to show that demo as well. The main challenge over here is you cannot have multiple Microsoft 365 developer program accounts associated with one phone number. You need to consider this point. The very important thing over here is there's no credit card requirement for this Microsoft 365 developer program sign up. Normally the subscription will be renewed every 3 months and it will last indefinitely if you use the subscription for development activities. This is very important. Development activity is not only coding. If you create multiple applications in Intune portal, if you deploy to some of the devices, then Microsoft Telemetry can understand this tenant is having lot of activities in terms of developing core products for some organization. And there is another tip I want to provide is about GitHub account. Link your GitHub account with Microsoft 365 developer tool. Linking GitHub is going to help you with the renewal process. The other Microsoft 365 developer subscription is only offered in English. Now let's check how many days are there until this subscription will get expired. Now it shows 87 days out of 91. In the dashboard, you would be able to see all these details. Now let's go to the next slide. In this slide, we are going to talk about the limitations of Microsoft 365 developer tenant. The licenses are valid for 90 days. As we discussed, renewal is based on development activities that can include creating policies, etc. There's no sample data or application or anything created for Intune Tenant. Intune Tenant will be just a blank Intune Tenant. Exchange Online inbound connectors for mail flow are not supported in this development subscription. This does not include Azure subscription, and Azure subscription is needed for diagnostic settings, log analytics, workspace, etc. This is the subscription expiry notice, and you can see over here Microsoft thinks that they are missing my development activities. It's time to get into demos. In this demo, you are going to see a lot of things, so stay tuned. So let's check how to sign up for Microsoft Developer Program. So I'm searching for Microsoft Developer Program and this is the first link I get, and I'm going to open that link, and this is the sign up program homepage. You can join from here. Click on join now and you can see it will ask for the username and password. This is the first method to join or sign in Microsoft 365 Developer Program. There are other methods also which I am going to show in the next section of this demo. So this is a personal account thing. So I'm going to log in with my personal account. Once you log in, you will get two options in the dashboard itself. Set up your Microsoft 365 E5 Sandbox and configurable sandbox, instant sandbox. There are two options. If it is instant sandbox, domain name would be the random domain name. If you are going to use configurable sandbox, you are going to get an option to create your own domain name, and the challenge over there is you need to create user accounts and create mailboxes, etc. manually if you select the configurable sandbox. So I'm going to select configurable sandbox and going to click on next button, and then it's already selected the country. Need to create a username for the admin access now, and then create a domain name. I have to create a domain name. I'm going to go with HDMDC as a domain name for the sandbox here. This is the personal scenario which we are talking about here. I logged in with the personal account. Most of you will be using this method to create Intune trial version. Once you decided with username and the domain name, then you can create a password for your admin user. Password has been created. Now I need to click on continue button to start the creation process for this Microsoft 365 developer program Sandbox. Now I need to provide the mobile number. You need to be very careful when you provide the mobile number, because one mobile number can be used only once with one particular Microsoft 365 developer account. You cannot use the same mobile number for different email or different Microsoft 365 developer account. I got the code and clicked on setup button. Once that is done, as you can see, the process is started to set up the tenant. Now it is setting up my developer subscription, and normally it should complete very fast, even though Microsoft says it is going to take time if you have your own tenant, etc. The domain name you can see over there, and it says Renewable E5 subscription. It is there, and you can see the administrator account details and what is the dates left for the subscription and auto renewal. We discussed about auto renewal and all in the presentation. So this is the option to create user accounts automatically. These are sample data packs. This task is going to add 16 users, test users with license, mailbox, everything. I'm going to click on next, and I need to sign in with my admin ID. This is the admin ID which got just created. Enter the password, click on sign in. This is to give the permission for that automation tasks to create user accounts, etc. on my tenant. Scroll down and accept it. Okay, accept. Now it is creating 16 users on my tenant, and it needs a common password for all the 16 users. It is not recommended to have same password for all the test users, but this is a sandbox environment and it should be fine. Got the password. Now click on install button to complete the task, and it says it will take about 5 minutes. Now you can see the users task is going on. Sample data pack task is going on for the users. So once user is done, you can have a task for mailbox and events creation. If I would have selected the first option from the first screen, then all this will happen automatically. You don't need to create users using sample data packs. You don't need to create mailboxes using sample data pack. We'll see that in the next section of the demo when we create a Microsoft 365 developer subscription with Visual Studio Code. You don't need to wait for this to complete, but you can go to the subscription and sign in with admin username and password. So you can see welcome pages coming for Microsoft 365, and you can see all the details, what all the things you can do from Microsoft 365 for work. You can install applications such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint with full features, and you can have Intune, Azure Active Directory, Microsoft Admin Portal. You can have access to all these things with Microsoft Developer Program subscription, which I just created. Okay, this is the home page for Microsoft 365. From here, you can go to Admin Portal if you want. Admin Portal for Microsoft 365, admin.microsoft.com, and this is Microsoft 365 Admin Center. From here, you would be able to see all the details about your tenant. If you go to, you can see the domain from settings under domain. That is the domain which we created, and it says it's healthy. And if you go to billing, you would be able to see licenses. If you go to licenses, you would be able to see Microsoft 365 E5 license without Windows and audio conferencing. So this developer account doesn't have Windows and audio conferencing license. Now you can see the users are created. That task is completed, it seems. That is why you can see all the users in this tenant. Microsoft did a fair work to create different types of users for different regions as well. So for India also, you can see some Indian names in the users. That's really interesting. And you can see the licenses assigned to these particular users. All the E5 licenses are automatically assigned to these users as part of that task. Microsoft Intune Plan 1 is assigned to this user. Let's log into Intune portal and check what is happening over there. This is the home page, and you can see our domain over there, htmdc.onmicrosoft.com, and and this is the admin account which I use, the same admin account which we created. If you go to devices, you can see there's no devices at the moment, but later in the demo you would be able to see I am going to add some devices, one Windows device into this Intune to check the proper functionality of this particular Microsoft 365 developer tenant. And this is why I mentioned this is a blank Intune tenant. We don't have any automated tasks or applications, anything created in Intune. It got the latest version of Intune, that is 2304, and tenant location it says India 01. That's interesting because I never seen that before. Now let's log into Azure portal and check what is happening over there. There's no Azure subscription associated with this, so you need to create a subscription if you want to have any Azure related services. But Azure Active Directory is here, and you can see there are different options to sign up for Azure subscription. If you are a student, there's a free account option, and you can start with $100 credit, etc, etc. And what are the eligibility for students? You need to have an edu account, etc, for that, but that is not the topic which we are going to cover today. So let's move on. So let's check the Azure Active Directory over here. If you go to groups, you can still see the dynamic group membership warning, etc. And if you go to the users, you can see all the 17 users got created, including the admin. Okay, so that is done. If you want, you can change or rename the users, that's fine. And it's interesting that all the properties are filled, and that is very useful information. You can see the audit logs and all the other things. It is fully functional Azure Active Directory. As you can see, diagnostic settings, there's no subscription, that is why I'm not able to send the Azure log files, etc, to diagnostic settings. I will have a different video to go through the process of getting an Azure subscription for free for 1 month. Now, what I'm going to do is check the client side of things. I'm going to use a test user which got automatically created. I'm going to use that test user account to add a device into Intune management. I'm not going to explain the Intune management or device enrollment process over here because that was already explained in the previous videos. So I'm going to skip this part, and I will link a video near the I button on right hand side top corner in YouTube. You can click on that I button so that you will get the details of Azure AD join enrollment as well as personal or BYO device enrollment scenarios for Windows 11. Let's check what is happening. In Azure portal, I can see the device is MDM managed and Azure AD registered, and it is a Windows device. But in Intune portal, I can't see that device appearing. So something is missing over there. So I went to devices and enroll devices, and under Windows enrollment, I'm going to click on automatic enrollment and check what is the MDM user scope which we have set. By default, it is set to none. So you need to change it to all or some Azure AD groups. This is one thing you need to do in your Microsoft 365 developer tenant to get the Windows devices into Intune management. And after the sync on the Windows device, you would be able to see the devices appearing under all devices. See, now you can see Windows 1, that device got appeared. Okay, now you can see HDMD test VM appearing over there in the Microsoft 365 developer tenant. This is the second stage of the video. Over here, we will see how to enroll to Microsoft 365 development program using Visual Studio subscription. If you are an MVP or Microsoft employee, then you will get Visual Studio subscription for free. Now let's see, if you have Visual Studio subscription, you can use this method. Go to benefits and you can see Microsoft 365 activation option. Activate it from there to get access to Microsoft 365 developer subscription E5. You need to enter the username associated with Visual Studio subscription to enroll into Microsoft 365 developer subscription. So now you get the similar similar screen as the previous one. There are two options, instant sandbox and configurable sandbox. And we have seen how to work with configurable sandbox. Now in this scenario, we are going to go with instant sandbox option. Just click on next. Over here you need to select country, basically the region, Asia Pac plus South Asia. That was the region I got over there. But in the previous one, I could see there was India as country. But for this, there's no India, but the Asia Pac region is there. And over here, you need to provide the admin username. But remember, there's no domain name mentioned over here. That is one more difference. As I mentioned in the slides, domain name, tenant name for this scenario is selected automatically. Now it is asking me to enter alternate password. I'm going to provide that as well. Once that is done, you can click on continue button. Then it will start the creation of subscription, your domain, etc. Here is the tricky part. If you try to put the same mobile number for this Microsoft 365 developer account as well, then it is not going to work. It's going to give you this error message. We can't continue with sign up process. You already have one or more Microsoft 365 developer program accounts. You need to change this mobile number, and the error code is 40901. So I'm going to provide a different phone number now to test this scenario. So now enter the code. Once you receive the code, after 3 minutes you will get an option to resend the code. Okay, once you enter the code, click on setup to start setting up tenant or subscription for Microsoft 365 developer program. So this is the dashboard that you can see. Over here there's a change. There's no days over there. It says active. Now you can see the activation is done. I have a new subscription, entering the password. Now logging into the Microsoft 365 portal for the first time. And it says onboarding process for this particular tenant for the admin account. And now done with MFA setup for this account. Okay, this is similar welcome page which we have seen in the personal account. Now let's log into Intune with the admin account, and you can see it is MSFT, the name. This is because it is a default tenant which got created, unlike the personal account scenario. If you go to tenant details, you can see the tenant name and tenant location, that is Asia Pac, not India like the previous one, and it has the latest service release, etc. And you can check the users from here. All the users are created, 17 users over here also, including the admin user, and you can see the tenant name, etc. Now let's log into Azure AD. So over here you can see the name of the Active Directory is MSFT. I'm going to change it by going into properties. I have changed it to HDMD community, and access management for Azure resources I have changed it to yes. Now you can see all the details, data center, etc., country, region. Click on save. So once saved, that will be changed to HDMD community Azure Active Directory, as you can see now. If you go back to Intune and refresh it, you can see over there also it is changed to HDMD community. That's good. These both are fully functional products now, Azure Active Directory, Intune, etc. Now that you have seen all the details about Microsoft 365 E5 license, how to get free E5 license for development and testing purpose, how to get Intune trial version forever if you do the development activities actively, and if Microsoft's telemetry thinks that yes, this is a valid use case, then it will automatically renew the Intune trial and all the Microsoft 365 E5 subscriptions even after 90 days. And different ways to get this subscription. If you are Microsoft MVP, you get Visual Studio access similar to Microsoft employees. So if you have that access, then you can have a Microsoft 365 E5 license until that Visual Studio subscription is valid. So hope this was helpful. Thank you all for watching. See you around.